Oh, this is the final movie that I am doing a review on for this Oscar season. We've come to the end. Let's bring her home.
We have a wonderful evening's entertainment lined up for you.
23.
Hey, what is up, you guys? This is Steffi, aka In My Humble Opinion, and welcome back to another IMHO Film Club movie review. In today's video, I am talking about our last movie that I will be reviewing for this Oscar season, and that movie is Mank. So Mank stars Gary Oldman, Amanda Seyfried, Charles Dance, Lily Collins, Tom Pelphrey, and Arliss Howard. The movie was directed by David Fincher and written by Jack Fincher, who is David Fincher's father. So, in the movie Mank, 1930s Hollywood is reevaluated through the eyes of scathing social critic and alcoholic screenwriter Herman J. Mankiewicz as he races to finish the screenplay of Citizen Kane. Mank was nominated for 10 Oscars, and I believe it's the movie this season that has the most nominations. So yeah, 10 Oscar noms. That's a lot. Those Oscar nominations include Best Picture, Best Actor, Best Supporting Actress, Cinematography, Costume Design, Makeup and Hairstyling, Original Score, Production Design, Sound, and Director. So, as in all my movie reviews here on this channel, I'm going to be talking about the pros, the cons, and then I'm going to give my overall rating and review at the very end, so let's get right into it. Alright, so let's talk about some of the pros. So my first pro to this movie is that it really did a great job of capturing the film aesthetic of classic Hollywood. So when you watch Mank, you really feel like you are watching a classic Hollywood movie. Aside from it, of course, being black and white, you could tell that they painstakingly went through the effort of giving the movie the aesthetic of that era. So even though Mank was shot in 8K, they still went back and made everything look kind of fuzzy and blurry. There was some grain and dust on some of the footage, and I personally loved when you could see the cigarette burns in some of the shots. I was like, ooh, that's really cool. But yeah, even though this movie came out in 2020, I'm sure if you were to show this movie to someone who didn't really know any better, they'd be like, yeah, that movie came out in the 30s. Alright, my second pro to this movie is the technical aspects. So again, you could really tell that David Fincher cared about every element of this film, and he wanted to make sure that every element was true to the time that they were capturing. And I understand why they got so many nominations. Again, they got 10 nominations, and a lot of them were for the film's technical aspects, from costume to hair and makeup, production design. One of the moments in the movie where the hair and makeup and costume design really shined was in the dinner scene that took place at William Hurst's house. Amanda Seyfried's outfit with the hat, I was like, wow, that's a costume. And even with the acting performances, I loved that all the actors and actresses were able to sort of talk in that cadence and tone that a lot of people did from the 1930s and 40s. Another element for me that I really enjoyed was the lighting. I'm not a cinematographer, so I can't break down the technical aspects of how they did it, but sometimes the way that certain scenes would end, there would kind of be this like fade vignette thing going on, which I thought was really cool. So as a whole, the technical aspects of Mank are kind of undeniable. My third pro to this movie is Amanda Seyfried. So I personally really enjoyed Amanda Seyfried's performance, and she's nominated for Best Supporting Actress. And she played Marion Davies, who was a Hollywood actress at the time. She had a friendly relationship with Mank, and she was also romantically involved with William Hurst. But I really enjoyed Amanda Seyfried in this movie because she was so charming and she brought this nice light energy to the film, which for me, I felt like it really needed. Every time she was on screen, it was really like, oh, she's here again. Alright, well now let's get into some of the cons. So my first con for this movie is that the movie doesn't really explain itself to you, which I guess in a way is nice because it's not insulting our intelligence, but at the same time, SOS. Mank assumes several things. First of all, it assumes that you have seen Citizen Kane and that you're at least familiar with the story of Citizen Kane. Then it also assumes that you pretty much know all of the people involved in the story and you know what they did and the different relationship dynamics that they had with one another. And then it also assumes that you just have a basic understanding of film history and what was going on in America at the time, politically and culturally. So if you love TCM, which is Turner Classic Movies here in the United States, I'm not quite sure if they have that around the world, but if you love TCM, if you love that podcast, you may remember this. If you're just a fan in general of Citizen Kane, the lore of it, if you're a fan of the golden age of Hollywood, I feel like you will genuinely really like this movie and you will have a special appreciation for it. But if you are not any of the following people, you will be completely lost while watching this movie. So I watched Citizen Kane for the first time when I was in college, and that was several years back now. And I'm somewhat familiar with the backstory of the making of Citizen Kane, and I've taken a couple of film history classes when I was in college, so a lot of these names were familiar to me. But even at that, like for me, I was honestly very lost while watching this movie. And it was actually frustrating because I was really waiting for the film to be a little bit more expositional, because this is a completely different time. This happened so many years ago, so I would have liked for there to have been a little bit more exposition, and I was waiting. And I was about halfway through the movie just being kind of confused as to what had happened, that I had to pause, and then I went online and I started doing some research, and I stumbled upon this VOX article that basically explained the backstory of Mank and all of the people involved. And then after I read through that entire article, I then resumed the movie and I was like, oh, okay, I get it now. And it became a lot more enjoyable. But the fact that I even had to go out of my way to do my own research in order to better understand the movie, I've never had to do that with any of the previous movies I've reviewed this Oscar season or in general. If you haven't watched Mank yet, I will link in the description box as well as in the pinned comment down below the link to the article that I read from Vox. It was really illuminating and it just cleared up so many things and addressed so many different narrative points that this movie doesn't take time to explain. It really just expects that you know all of this. And my second con to this movie is it's kind of boring. Kind of like I previously said, this movie is already inaccessible because, again, if you don't know this story, you're gonna be really lost. And aside from you being frustrated and confused, on top of that, the movie is long. It's over 2 hours. And just as a story in and of itself, I never really was able to get emotionally invested in any of the characters or even the plot. I feel like there really is no character arc for anyone in this film. And in a way, it felt like you were just watching a film history lecture come to life. My overall rating for Mank is a B+. Mank is a self-reflexive movie from Hollywood about Hollywood, and we all know how much Hollywood loves itself. From a technical standpoint, Mank is very good, and you really can appreciate David Fincher and the creative team's attention to detail when it comes to recapturing classic Hollywood on film. But as far as enjoyability, unless you are knowledgeable and are a fan of this era, then this movie is probably not for you. With a running time of over 2 hours and a story that really was a film history lecture come to life, Mank was a struggle to get through. A technically sound struggle, but a struggle nonetheless. And alright, that's about it from me for this video. If you liked it, please give this video a thumbs up. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button and please turn on the notification button down below so you know when a new video from me comes out. And comment down below your thoughts on Mank as well as my review. I especially would be interested to know if you were able to generally understand what was going on, if you had never seen Citizen Kane, and if you had no idea what the backstory was behind the making of Citizen Kane. But yeah, yeah, that is pretty much it. Mank is the last movie that I will be reviewing this Oscar season. Next week, I have several different Oscar-related videos coming out because now, you know, we're just days away from the Oscars, finally. We've kind of been building up to this point in the channel. So yeah, next week is gonna be fun. So yeah, make sure you're subscribed and that notification bell is turned on so you could partake in all of next week's videos. As always, everything I said was just my own personal thoughts and all my humble opinion, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye!